everyone's happy. Good evening and welcome to Eastleigh Borough Council's Cabinet meeting of the 10th of December 2020, being broadcast live on Microsoft Teams. This evening's meeting is a meeting of the Cabinet in public, as opposed to a meeting of the public with the Cabinet in attendance. We have no notice of public participation during the course of this evening's meeting, which means that the only participants that were here tonight will be members of the Council's Cabinet and any supporting staff that need to come in and join the meeting. So my name is Keith House, I'm new to the Council, and you'll see Cabinet members from around the Council join us at appropriate times during the meeting, and I'll introduce them as they first speak. As we have no public participation this evening, I can move straight to the minutes of the last meeting, which was held on the 26th of November. And I'll just look virtually around my room for someone to indicate that they are happy to support the minutes, which I can see nods from Councillor Derek Pretty and from Ian Corbin. And if there's no one else wishing to contribute on the minutes, we'll take those as agreed. That takes us to apologies, which we have this evening from Councillor Rupert, not from Councillor Rupert, from Councillor Paul Bicknell, who's working this evening. And at the moment, we don't have Councillor David Airy joining with us. I think there may be some technical issues, and hopefully David will be able to join us before too long tonight. The next item on this Cabinet agenda is if there are any declarations of interest from councillors on items that are on the agenda. And we'll call Ian Corbin.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to declare a conflict, an interest regards the exempt item, please, due to my employer's commercial interests. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ian. That's duly noted. When we get to that item, you'll obviously leave the room. It's in private session anyway, but we'll make sure that you're formally exited before we move into exempt business, which is the private session of the meeting later on.
Thank you.
Are there any other declarations of interest anyone wants to raise? I can't see anyone, in which case we'll move on to item 5 on the agenda. This item is tantalisingly entitled Statement of Community Involvement. That is a planning term which sets out how the council consults residents and partners on planning issues. It's a technical process that we have to go through, and this has been updated to reflect the current status of the council's emerging local plan and some general tidying up. I don't think there's likely to be any debate on this item. Does anyone want to speak? I can't see anyone indicating at the moment, so if colleagues are happy, we'll take that as agreed and move to agenda item 6, which is Eastleigh Homes Strategy. This is a new framework document that sets out how the council as a developer will take forward development sites that it has an interest in across the borough. Eastleigh Borough Council, perhaps unusually amongst other local authorities, has taken forward an active role in development over the course of recent years, because we've recognised that the private sector alone is not capable of delivering the right homes in the right places with the right tenure mix and the right level of sustainability. As we've taken on more responsibility for development, it becomes more important that we set out our general approach to how we're taking development forward and how we're meeting housing need. And this document, which is really good, and I compliment Emily Halbrook and the housing team and everyone involved throughout the council in putting it together, that sets out how we're going to take this forward. Again, I suspect there's probably not likely to be much debate on this item because it's a process one. We're really agreeing that we take it forward. Does anyone wish to speak? I can't see anyone indicating at the moment. If that's so, I'll take that as agreed and move on to item 7, which is the Council's Corporate Risk Management Annual Report. And this, as it says on the tin, is the annual report that looks at corporate risks. And I'd like to thank Joe Castor and the team in audit and indeed senior managers across the council for all the work that's gone into this. Managing risk is really important to local authorities, and it's about getting the balance between the risk of doing things and the risk of not doing things, and also how we then mitigate risk where we've identified said risks. This has been to the council's audit and resources panel to look at. We've got no comments back from them other than support. Does anyone wish to speak on this item? I suspect probably not. I can see no one indicating to me, in which case we will also take that as agreed. Councillor Craig wants to join us. Let's see what Tony has to say.
It's nothing on that. It was just whilst that came to an end, Chair, I've just had communication from David Airy. He's having problems with his phone line again. He had IT problems right up until yesterday. He managed to get on yesterday around this time, but he's lost it again. Paul is in contact with him, and he'll hopefully join us later if he can. But please accept his apologies if he can't get back on. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Tonya. That's all noted, and we'll miss David, but the rate we're going, we'll have finished anyway. But we'll see. So that was the corporate risk management item. No one had indicated to speak on that item. In which case, can colleagues accept that the recommendations that are there? I'm seeing nods around the room on that, so we'll take that as such, and move on to agenda item 8, which is improving waste collections. And we have a report which again has been to our policy and performance scrutiny panel, which looks at proposals to enhance our waste collection service from the spring of next year. Arguably it's already the best in Hampshire, but we can always keep on doing better. Rupert, as Cabinet Member of Environment, do you want to say anything on this paper?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, this is a culmination of a very large piece of work which has been undertaken by our managers, obviously, in the Waste Services Department in Direct Services. My thanks obviously go to Gail Smith, who's put a huge amount of effort into this, Paul Naylor, Andrew Kendall, and all of the team. This is obviously looking at the last review, actually, of our waste services was back in 2012. So obviously, as we know, the borough has changed quite a lot in that time, and actually it's a really good opportunity to actually look at harmonising our rounds, looking at the way that actually we deliver this collection service, because obviously it's incredibly important and very valued by our residents. As you've alluded to, we are the best recycling council within Hampshire, and hopefully that will continue. And we're looking, obviously, going to a zonal approach rather than just a north-south split, which actually means we'll be able to harmonise the rounds. We're also looking at going to fortnightly glass collection, which is a really, really good move, which will boost our recycling rates, and also reintroduction of food waste, as we know, which took place after it had to be paused due to the COVID-19 emergency, which obviously the food waste will be collected in separate vehicles. There obviously is going to be an incredibly important comms package which will go with this, because obviously when we relaunch this, there will be different changes to people's collection days. And also, as we did actually find out as a consequence, in effect, to having food waste collected by separate vehicles, that actually their waste isn't being collected at the same time. So of course we were getting phone calls from obviously anxious residents concerned that their food waste hadn't been collected, but of course it's being collected by a separate vehicle, which obviously could be coming along a little bit later, if you know what I mean. So the comms package is really, really important to this. The Green Garden Waste Service is something we want to bring on board a bit later on. It's not quite there yet at the moment, so that's not included in this. But obviously what I'm really, really pleased about is the fact that actually we'll be looking to collect food waste from the flats, which has been a really difficult nut for us to crack actually in the council, and I know that's replicated across other councils as well. So I'm really, really pleased that we'll actually be looking to phase this in, and that flats and those sorts of accommodations in effect will be able to, for the first time, be able to actually shall we say enjoy the same waste service that other residents are able to currently have. So I think it's a really exciting piece of work. I'm really looking forward to this. I think it's going to bring us some real benefits to the council, and also actually puts us in a really good position when the government actually do finally come forward with the Environment Bill, which obviously will set out how they think that all councils in effect should be collecting waste into the future. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Rupert. That's really good. And as you say, we've got a fantastic waste collection service, the best recycling council in the county. And by making glass go on an alternate weekly basis alongside our recyclables, I'm sure we'll do even more. And the coordinating the days is going to be really popular with people not having to think about, do I put this out then, or do I put it out then, or whatever, or do I peer out the window and watch my neighbours? Does anyone else want to speak on this paper? No. OK, in which case, if colleagues are happy, we'll take that as agreed and move on to the next item, which is to formally move into private session. We'll note that Ian Corbin is leaving us at this point, and if colleagues are happy with that, I'll close the public part of this meeting at 7:10. Thank you very much.